Hello, my name is Eva Norum, and I have spent the past 9 months of my life filming a documentary about my journey with Loeys-Dietz. So today I got some discouraging news. My goal with this documentary was to publish it with a small publishing company, enter it into a local film festival, and post it to YouTube so I can get a wider audience to be able to see it. But today I found out that none of those things will be able to happen because I snapped my SD card in half and lost all of my footage. So I was able to recover one clip because I have it saved onto my phone, so I'll put that somewhere in this video. But this is just going to be my story. So ever since I was born fine. I was normal. I had jaundice, but everything else was normal. The doctors didn't have any concerns about me. I was really fat. I was like 9 pounds 11 ounces and 2 weeks early. So I was a really big baby, but other than that, there was nothing like noticeably wrong about me. And you know, I had a very normal childhood. All the way through elementary school, I had no problems, except the end of 5th grade, I realized I have something weird with my fingers. So on this side, these 2 fingers, the 4th and 5th metacarpals, are significantly shorter than on the left side, which causes it to look like I don't have knuckles there. But I wasn't really experiencing any pain, not even like in my hand where the metacarpals are shortened. So, you know, up through 5th grade, I was just like every other kid. I was a part of swim team. I was really active. I would run around at recess all the time, and I was fairly normal. So at the start of middle school, I started experiencing pain in my fingers when I would play piano and write with a pencil. So we went and saw an occupational therapist about it. He said, it's just because these are shortened. I don't really need to worry about it. He had me wearing a wrist brace for a while to help like compensate for the pain a little bit. But other than that, there was like nothing he really did about it. He wasn't considering surgery for it unless it got much worse. So, you know, 6th grade, that was my only problem. Going into 7th grade, I had no issues up until spring break. Spring break, I traveled to Washington to see my dad, and while I was up there, I started getting knee pain in my right knee. It was so bad that I felt like I couldn't walk. So we went to the ER up in Washington, and they basically told me they thought I had bursitis, which is just like an inflamed bursa in my knee. They told me not to worry about it until I got back to Kansas, and if it continued even like much after I got home, then that's when I should start worrying about it. I think that went on for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we went back to the occupational therapist. He said I should go on crutches and do PT, and if either of those things worked, it's fine, don't worry about it. But if those didn't work, that's when they would start considering doing a surgery for it. So that time passed. It's now end of April. I still had knee pain, and so we scheduled surgery because they thought I had something wrong with my meniscus. So we scheduled my surgery, thinking that they were going to go in and fix my meniscus. But when they went in to do the surgery, they saw that I had a plica in my knee, which is basically this little sea creature looking tissue floating around in my knee that usually dissolves once you start walking. Mine never dissolved, so it was a pretty minor surgery. They were able to get it out with no problems. Flash forward a year, I start getting the same pain in my left knee. So before they said to do PT and everything, but this time they were like, you know, we know that you probably have plicas in this knee too. Let's schedule surgery and get those out. So I had the same surgery about exactly a year apart, both in May. So after that, I was like, they said it was a fairly normal thing to happen. You know, sometimes that just happens. Sometimes it causes pain, sometimes it doesn't. I was just lucky enough to experience pain with it. So at the start of this year, I started having syncopal episodes. So I would go to school perfectly fine, I would feel fine, and then halfway through the day I would pass out and the ambulance would have to come, and then we'd go to the ER, and they said, you know, sometimes this happens with teenage girls. They checked me for anemia and a whole bunch of other things, but they were like, you know, sometimes this just happens. You know, of course everyone is gonna jump to, it's anxiety, you don't have to worry about it, it's just anxiety. So it wasn't anxiety. So they sent me to a cardiologist just to make sure that everything was okay with my heart. I went to the Children's Mercy cardiologist here where I live, and he was great. He immediately was like, this is not quite normal. Let's check you for a huge range of different things. I think they took like 7 tubes of blood or something and just sent it off to a lab and checked me for everything. So that came back. The genetic testing said, looks like you have Loeys-Dietz. Let's do an ultrasound and an MRI, I think. And I think one more thing, I can't remember. They were basically like, we'll check you for these things, and if you have the signs of someone with Loeys-Dietz, we'll give you an official diagnosis. I went in, this all took 3 weeks maybe, and after that 3-week period, I was officially diagnosed with Loeys-Dietz syndrome. So right when I got diagnosed, we scheduled an appointment with the big Children's Mercy up in Kansas City to see a geneticist, genetic counselor, cardiologist, neurologist, and someone else, and to get a full body MRI. So we went up there in January. So from November to January, I was still having syncopal episodes at school. I was experiencing pain kind of everywhere at different times. And I didn't really have a way to manage the pain other than taking ibuprofen and like icy hot. So we went up to Children's Mercy in Kansas City in January, and they gave me a full body MRA. Everything looked okay with my heart. I didn't have the they were looking for something that I didn't have. If I remember, I'll like put it somewhere. I didn't have what they were looking for, and they measured the size of my aorta, and everything looked normal except the radiologist flagged my left pelvic bone because there was an abnormal size or a growth that they could see on the MRI. So they sent me to the geneticist, and then the geneticist immediately sent me back to get another MRI in one day. But since I had already had contrast that day, they couldn't use contrast again. So they gave me another MRI with no contrast, just of my hip, not of my entire body. And so I think 3 or 4 hours after I got that MRI, I had a meeting with the radiologist, and he said, you have a tumor on your left pelvic bone. So, you know, of course, waterworks. I was super scared because I had never had anything like that before, and it's just different for me, especially since, you know, this is all so new. I was freaking out about it. So he told me there's a very low chance that it's cancerous, and, you know, don't worry about it. You might just have to live with it. You might need to get it taken out, but see your doctor at home, see your orthopedic surgeon at home. So I came back and I went to my orthopedic surgeon, and I had to get another MRI with contrast of my hip to see if they could tell what it was. And they discovered that it was an aneurysmal bone cyst. So it was basically just this huge mass of, I don't even know, something gross right on my left pelvic bone. And my doctor said it would be the best option for me is to get it removed. So we scheduled my surgery for after school got out so I wouldn't have to worry about recovering. And I got the surgery. It was on May 30th. I went in and I got it taken out. It took 2 hours? I don't know how long the surgery was, but I know it was pretty quick. And yeah, so that's my story. I will probably put, my stepdad just got home. I'll be back. Okay, I am back. Sorry for the change in lighting. This lighting is not very good, but I just went and ate dinner and then played lawn darts with my family. So now that I'm back, there are a few things that I realized I forgot to mention. So in 7th grade, I joined my school's cheer team, and in 8th grade, I was middle school cheer captain. And then this year, or I guess this past year, I joined the high school cheer team. And about halfway through basketball season, my cardiologist told me that I could not participate in cheer anymore because you have to like throw girls around, you have to raise your heart rate a whole bunch, and so told me that was probably not the best idea for me. But my team was really supportive and they let me finish out the season. I actually lettered and I finished out the season just as like kind of their manager, and I went to team dinner still and they were all super great, so shout out to my cheer team if they're watching. But my cardiologist said I could do swim team if I didn't compete and if I didn't raise my heart rate above 50% my max. So I did swim team, but then about halfway through it, I started getting terrible pain every time I would swim. I dislocated my shoulder once. It was just really not the experience I wish I could have had. So I, yet again, quit halfway through the season. Still was able to, go to meets. I was basically their manager as well. And I went to the banquet and, again, everyone was super, super sweet about that and understanding about the fact that I could not participate anymore, even though I had signed up for it in the beginning. So, yeah. So those are the things that I kind of had to like leave behind, but since then I've picked up a whole bunch of new hobbies, one of them being filmmaking. And I've been like making embroidery things, like cross stitching, and I've been making these little friendship bracelet things. So yeah. And when I looked at my wrist just then, I realized another thing that I had to change was I had to get a medical ID bracelet that basically says my name and my condition and what I'm at risk for, and my parents' numbers on it. So the next time I get picked up in an ambulance, the paramedics will have all the information that they need. I'm still able to drive. I got my driver's license on April 26th. I have a car. So other than that, other than like not being able to do certain things, I'm still able to live a pretty normal life, which I'm very grateful for. And through my diagnosis, I have made a ton of new friends. Actually, in my documentary, I interviewed one of my closest friends, Nicole, who also has Loeys-Dietz, and it's nice finding people that can relate to you about things that, you know, people at school can't really relate to, which, you know, like, lucky them, but also it's frustrating when you try to explain something and people are like, yeah, no, that doesn't happen to me. So she added me to a group chat that I am so thankful to have as kind of like a support group. They are all super sweet. Shout out to you guys for always being there when I'm having bad days, because there are some days worse than others pain-wise, some days worse than others like emotionally, because, you know, going through a diagnosis like this at such a young age is a very stressful thing, because, you know, like, I haven't dealt with the stuff I'm dealing with now throughout my entire life. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard for anyone. Like, my friend Noah was diagnosed in 2005, pretty much right when it was discovered. And he, I'm sure, still had a hard time even though he was just a baby. So, I don't know. Everyone goes through hard times through diagnosis. My sister got diagnosed at 19 years old. My dad got diagnosed at like 40 or something. I don't know. So, yeah, you know, everyone has a tough time with it, but I feel like being in high school surrounded by people that don't really know what's going on, it's really hard. This year I kind of got a lot of hate for people saying, you know, she's faking it, she's just doing this for attention, but I'm not. So, yeah, so those are just a few of like the frustrating things, but my group chat has been there for me, and I can't wait to meet them all. I really want to go to conference the next time, because I've heard it's a lot of fun. I don't really know much about it, but I just hear them talk about it all the time, so hopefully I'll get to go. But another thing, I found this, which is the notebook that I used to write down questions that I wanted to ask my cardiologist when I was getting diagnosed. So I thought these are some pretty basic questions, and I thought I could answer it. But, you know, at some point I'll do like a Q&A type video where you guys can ask questions, because, you know, I don't know what questions you have, so I don't know how to answer them right now. So if you have any questions, you can comment them, or I'm sure most of the people watching this have my number, so you can text me or ask my mom, because a lot of my mom's friends will probably be watching this. So one of the first question is, what is the chance that I'll pass this on to my kids? From what I've heard, I think it's about a 50-50 chance that I will pass it on to my kids. That's something that I've been kind of worried about, like passing it on to my kids, because, you know, it most likely will get worse from generation to generation. But, you know, going through it myself, I feel like I could handle it as a mother. So I don't know, that's just one thing that was like one of my questions, I guess. I don't know why I keep saying like. Is there any connection between my other health problems, joints fainting, shortened fourth and fifth metacarpal, and allergies? Yes, all of those things are connected. So, my shortened fourth and fifth metacarpal, a whole bunch of people have different finger issues. Like, I know some people get the really long fingers, some people, like my sister, has thumbs that are like really short. Yeah, everyone's fingers with Loeys-Dietz are a little bit odd, so that's the connection with my fingers. Allergies, I have had terrible allergy symptoms since middle school. We thought that I was just getting like idiopathic angioedema and urticaria, which is basically like just random allergies where I'd break out into hives, or my lips would swell, or my throat would start to close. So after finding out I had Loeys-Dietz, that kind of explained it. I am allergic to cow's milk, but other than that, I don't really have anything going on right now. Are there any health risks for me in my teenage years? Yes. Not anything specific to me being a teenager, but there are a ton of health risks. Aortic aneurysms. It also says like aortic dissection. I don't really know what the difference is. I have pain. Like, I know pain isn't really like a health risk, but I am kind of always in pain. Yeah, other things I'm pretty sure, but I'm just kind of blanking right now. Am I allowed to participate in cheer and swim? I kind of answered that a little bit earlier. Will my allergies go away when we treat the heart thing? Obviously, I'm very good at writing questions and great with grammar. But no, my allergies will probably never go away. So my plan with this channel is to turn it into kind of like a lifestyle channel where I put like vlogs and Q&As about mostly my health things. But yeah, so that was my life story, I guess. Can't believe I'm about to put this on the internet. One more thing that I forgot to mention, the song that you guys will be hearing either at the beginning or the end of this video was written and performed by my friend Kayley. She wrote it for me to put in my documentary, so huge shout out to her. I will have her channel link below. She is an amazing artist, and it was so sweet of her to write me a song for my documentary, so I thought I would feature it in this video because the documentary cannot be posted. So thanks again, Kayley.
I'm not strong enough for this. Call me a warrior, but I don't feel like fighting. 'Cause there are battles in my head, so much greater than symptoms on a box. They will never understand. Everything that's going on, but it's not like it's easy to explain. 1,000,000 reasons why going under the night just doesn't show much pain. Invisible fighter, you will hear us scream, fighting for my life, but I look good doing it. Invisible fighter, we're not faking the pain, 'cause our story